Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us for Track by Track. We're here at the City Winery. Special thanks to them for letting us use their venue today. And we have our special guest, T. Graham Brown. Thank you so much for joining
You're
us
welcome.
today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you have a brand new album called Forever Changed.
Forever Changed.
I want to know about this album and what led you to the song selection and creating this album, because it's so beautifully done and you have so many amazing guests on it. I just want to know what this process was like for you.
Well, we went in the studio to do a version of this old song called Working on a Building. This guy named Mark Carman called and asked me if I would do it. And it was Marty Rabin, who used to be with Shenandoah. I think they're still going out and doing a few shows. Mm-hmm. And Jimmy Fortune, who was with the Statler Brothers for 20-something years, and Trace Atkins and I went in and we cut this great version of Working on a Building. This is an old gospel song. And Sheila and I got involved because we're part of this church building ministry. It's called International Cooperating Ministries. So that Working on a Building video was for ICM. And Mark Carman, who produced that, asked me if I would like to do a gospel album. I'd never done one before.
Right.
And we decided we'd do that because monies from the album go to International Cooperating Ministries. So we build churches in third world countries. We build just small, basically 4 walls in a roof where people can get out of the weather and have service. And he arranged to get a very small budget together. It was the smallest budget I'd ever worked with, but we did a lot of pre-production work on it so that when we got in the studio, we had it down pretty much. And we cut all the tracks in one day.
Oh, wow.
Which was...
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, well, it's not very many people do that. But our budget was such that we had to do it that way.
Right.
And once we got the tracks done, I would sing a little bit on it, then I'd have to go out on the road and come back and sing a little bit on it. And that's the way we finally got it finished. I can't remember how long the process was, but it was probably like 9 months, something like that, or 10 months. And usually, I've never taken that long to make an album, but I was touring, so that was what made it so long.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I've heard that other people sometimes take even longer than that. So I think that amount of time is good. That's a great story.
Well, it was long for me, but we finally got it done.
You got it done, and it's great.
Well,
so we're going to talk track by track now. I want to know about each song individually and what made you choose each song. Track 1 on the album is He'll Take Care of You, and you have a special guest on this song. So can you tell me about this song?
Well, a guy named Dan Penn was one of the co-writers on it. Dan Penn is famous for, in the 60s, wrote a lot of classic soul songs.
Okay.
Some of them got cut in Memphis. A lot of them got cut in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Whereas I cut my first 2 albums down in Muscle Shoals. So I'm kind of like the R&B country guy. That's what they've always called me, country soul, and now gospel. But I'd been squirreling away songs for a long time, you know, in anticipation of doing something like this. So I had a stack of songs. But He'll Take Care of You was one that Dan and Donnie Fritz and Gary Nicholson co-wrote. And Gary and I have been working together and co-writing a long time. My last couple of albums, Gary and I produced together. And I just really like that song, and I really like the writers on it too. I'm friends with them, all of them. But we chose that song not because of friendship, because I really liked what it said. So when we got all these tracks finished, we were just sitting in the studio one day. I was doing vocals on Forever Changed, or He'll Take Care of You. And somebody mentioned that it'd be neat to have Vince Gill, you know, like somebody said, hey, Vince would sound good on this. And I've been knowing Vince since 1984 or 5,
wow.
something like that. We're old friends, and I knew he would do it. He never says no to anybody.
I've heard that.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and a great musician. So I called him up, and of course he said yes, and we got his voice, and he played the guitar solo on it too, which really made it neat. And they put it out as a single in gospel, and it went #1. So it turned out to be a really neat track.
So the second track on the album is called From a Stronger Place. What is that about?
Getting through some hard stuff and coming out on the other side of it. I wrote that song, I wrote that song 22 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
We did a little album called From a Stronger Place. We basically cut some songs at my house and just put a little album together. But we never really released it, I don't think. I think we sold some at shows, but From Stronger Place, I wrote that one morning. I remember I just rolled out of bed and wrote that one morning. I didn't really think about it a whole lot.
It just came easy to you?
Yeah, really easy. That one did. I don't really like writing that much. Harlan Howard, we called him the dean of the Nashville songwriters. He's one of the greatest songwriters ever. He passed away years ago. But one of his sayings was, I don't like to write, I like to have written. So that's kind of the way I feel about it. I like to get it over with.
I love that you said that, because I'm the same way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third track is called Soul Talk, and I love the title. It's very, very intriguing. Tell me about that.
Well, I was writing one day with Gary Nicholson and Danny Flowers, and Danny's an awesome writer. He wrote Tulsa Time that Don Williams had a huge hit on, Eric Clapton had a huge hit on it. And Gary Nicholson is one of my oldest, dearest friends. He's had over 600 cuts, and that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Gary's the kind of guy that gets up every morning. He has a little studio at his house, and he writes every day. It's like a regular job to him. And I don't know how many. He's written thousands of songs, I'm sure. But he's my main co-writer. So I was over there, and we were talking, and Soul Talk came out. That was one of the titles. I think I had that in my book, and we just talked about it and wrote it. That was a pretty easy one to write, too. When you got guys like that, it's a lot easier to write a song.
The next song on your album is the title track, Forever Changed, which I love, and I feel has so many different meanings, or could have so many different meanings for many people. Tell me about that.
Well, again, that's a Dan Penn song. Dan is such a cool guy. He's probably 75 years old now, but he's still writing. And he does these little, what he calls his demo session, his demo series. And he just does these songs at his house and puts them out.
Wow.
You know, he'll put together an album worth of songs and release it on his little limited label he's got. You know, he has no illusions about being some big star or anything, because he doesn't have anything left to prove. He's very well respected writer. Anyway, that song was on one of his albums. I always get, when he puts out something new, I always get it and listen to it over and over. And that was one that I picked off of one of his albums. And I just liked the sentiment of it, And I feel like I've been forever changed, so I really felt good about cutting that one. And I'm trying to remember, I don't think we got anybody to sing on that one. On Soul Talk, the one we were just talking about, I called up a friend of mine named Jason Crabb, who's just a blue-eyed soul Southern gospel singer, and had him. His daddy told me that I was the first concert that he ever went to. He told me he was 8 years old and sitting on his daddy's shoulders and heard me sing. He said, "Man, I've been trying to sing like you my whole life." But he's very good. He's very good. But on Forever Changed, yeah, we just went in and cut that one just because I love the song.
Well, I think that was a great choice, and I think allowing yourself to put yourself and what you like into your album also gives fans a little bit more of a personal connection to you as well.
Well, like I said, that was one of the ones I squirreled away. I can't remember how many songs I had in my stack of songs I wanted to do, probably 20, something like that. And we just narrowed them down to 13.
The next song on your album is called Shadow of Doubt, which I love titles and I'm so intrigued. Tell me about this song and the special guest you have.
Shadow of Doubt. Oh, it's just an awesome song. Gary Nicholson, again, wrote that. You know, over the years, I've cut like 63 or 4 of Gary's songs.
Oh, wow.
And Delbert McClinton's the only other guy that's cut that many. And Gary, he's just a great writer. And Shadow of Doubt, it's just about it's just a prayer to help you overcome doubt. And we did that one, and I got to thinking about Leon Russell. Leon Russell, the late, great Leon Russell, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member, awesome artist and awesome guy. He's been my friend probably since the mid-'80s. Okay. I sang on a couple of his albums back then.
Oh, okay.
And on this record, I'd never called in any favors from anybody until this record. I'd done duets and sang on a lot of other people's albums, but I never had called in any favors. George Jones was the only person that I'd done a duet with on my stuff.
Oh, wow.
I'd done duets with George on his records, but so anyway, I called Leon up, and there again, I was pretty sure he would do it. And he came to the studio that day, and he couldn't get around that well toward the end. And it was a big deal for him to make the effort to come. But everybody loved on him so much. We told him we'd get him just in and out. But everybody was loving on him so much, he stayed all day, and it was a great day for him. He was very happy. Sheila and I are friends with them, and I mean, we go out to eat and things like that. Like, Leon was a really good friend, and he did a great job. He did a great job, and while he was in there, we cut another song called "People Get Ready." And while he was in there, we got him to put his vocals on that too. So I got two great performances out of Leon. It's one of my proudest things.
That's great. I love that. Next up is The Power of Love. And I mean, there's nothing better than the power of love except for the love of God. So tell me about this.
That was a cool song. I did that song originally in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, on my second album. It never was a single, but it was one of my favorite songs. So when I was thinking about this album, I thought, man, that's a perfect song to do. So, and it's one of my very favorite ones to do in the show. It's a real cool song to sing, I think. I mean, melodically, and I can kind of grit my teeth a little bit and sing it. So, yeah, Power of Love was one that I'd known for gosh, 30 years, and decided to recut it.
So the next step is Out of the Rain. What is this song about? What does it mean?
Well, to me, it's like coming out of darkness, but Tony Joe White wrote that song. And Tony Joe White's one of the greatest songwriters ever. Great singer, swamp, they call him, he's a swamp guy. Tony Joe White wrote Poke Salad Dandy, was probably what he's best known for. But he wrote a couple songs that Elvis did. He's just a swampy singer, and I'd known this song for a while too, and I thought it would fit this record, so we put it on this record. And there again, it's another fun one to sing. You can just kind of bear down on it.
Next up is People Get Ready. I love this song.
Old Curtis Mayfield song, been around forever. Just thought it would be a good one, thought it would fit. And again, I got Jason Crabb to sing on it, got Leon Russell to sing on it. And the Oak Ridge Boys are singing on it. It just turned out it's one of the coolest tracks on the record, I think.
Absolutely. The playback with everybody who was involved, your special guests, the way you incorporated their vocals on this track, I loved it. It's my favorite on this album.
It turned out great, I thought. I don't want to brag, but it's one of my favorite ones.
It is good.
And the Oaks just do a great job on it.
All right, so next up we have Pillow of Mercy. And that speaks volumes, just the title. What is this one about?
Just finding refuge in Jesus is the way I interpret it. That's one that Dan Penn and Gary Nicholson and I wrote. I remember Gary had this old studio called the Chicken Shack. It used to actually be a chicken shack out behind his house. And we wrote that, gosh, probably in the late 80s. Okay. But it was one that was in my pile of songs that I picked. And I thought it turned out great. We got the Booth Brothers, a very popular Southern gospel group, to sing on it. And I'm really proud of it. It just fit my mood at the time. So we put it on there.
It's a great fit, great song. Next up, we have Midnight Rainbow, which is really fun to think about because I don't think you've ever seen a rainbow at midnight.
Well, there is no such thing as a midnight rainbow. But I just took it to mean even when you're in your darkest place that there's a rainbow if you search for it. Dan Penn, again, wrote that song. I just can't say enough about how good he is. And I'd heard that on one of his albums. It was one of his little demo albums. He's got a studio in his basement, and he just goes down there, and it's just him. He might get another guy in there to play something, but it's not what you normally think of as a session. Yeah. He just goes down there and builds the track and does his thing. And Midnight Rainbow, I love the way it feels, and Three Bridges, this young gospel group, came in and put their vocals on. They're really, really soulful too. So I thought Midnight Rainbow was a good choice, and it turned out great, I think. It's one of my favorite tracks on the record.
Okay, song 11 is Which Way to Pray, and that honestly is something that I think a lot of people think about these days. So what was this song for you? What does it mean for you?
Well, again, Gary Nicholson and Bill Anderson, who's one of the greatest songwriters of all time. I don't think Bill gets credit as much as he should have. There are these things called BMI awards, and Bill's a BMI writer, and it's kind of like ASCAP has a millionaire award when your song gets played 1 million times. Well, Bill Anderson has had more BMI awards than any other writer in history.
Wow.
Of BMI, rock and roll, soul, everything. He's had over 90 BMI awards.
Wow.
That's huge. Most people are thrilled if they get one.
Right?
And Bill Anderson has had over 90. It's just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And Gary is an ASCAP writer, and he's had a lot of millionaire, a million plays. BMI is the one that awards a millionaire award, and ASCAP gives you what they call ASCAP awards.
Okay.
But we were sitting over at Gary's, and we wrote another song that day, but then we started talking about women in our lives that we had known that had gone through spousal abuse, sexual abuse. And that song just kind of spilled out, and it's gotten so many comments from, I've done that song and I do a lot of shows every year, and I meet people after the show at every show. And I get more comments on that, or I'll say not more, but a lot of comments from women that say, that's my story. And then we got Sonya Isaacs, who has one of the prettiest voices in the world to sing on it. She has a family group called the Isaacs, and they're a gospel group, much awarded, lots of Dove Awards. And so I called Sonya up and asked if she would do it, and I was hoping she would. I figured she would. Yeah. And so she came in and sang on that, and that just makes it even better. So, yeah, Which Way to Pray, that's like a real song. We wrote it about something real, and it gets a lot of comments. It's a tough subject to write about, but it gets a lot of comments. It hits home with a lot of women.
How do you know is the next track on this album?
Well, Gary Nicholson again. You can tell he's my favorite writer. He and Delaney Bramlett wrote that song. Delaney had this group with his wife, Bonnie Bramlett. I don't know if you know her. She's here in Nashville now. They had a group in the 60s and 70s. Delaney and Bonnie was their name. They had a couple of hits, but there was a song, I've got a never-ending love for you. From now on, that's all I want to do. And that was a big hit in the 70s, much before your time. But Delaney and Gary wrote that song, and I thought, man, that's a great, great song. So we went in, and we got the Oak Ridge Boys again to sing on that one, and they did a great job. But all these people that were on this record did a great job. But I've done a lot of shows with the Oak Ridge Boys over the years, and I know them all. Yeah. And I figured they would do it. And so the good thing about this record is I think God was in charge the whole time we were cutting it. You could just feel it in the studio. And I just knew the Oaks would be great on it. And because I had envisioned having some background vocals like that, and there's nothing like getting the Oak Ridge Boys. I mean, as far as a quartet sound, they're one of the best of all time.
Oh, absolutely. And you're right, great bunch of guys. So very nice.
Yeah.
And
Country Music Hall of Fame members, Grand Ole Opry members.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure they're in the Gospel Music Hall of Fame too.
Yes, they are.
They're really cool guys.
Yeah, they're great. Well, good choice on that.
Yeah,
I'm sure they had an equally amazing time with you as well.
Oh, they had a big time. They did.
All right, you stuck it out with me. We've made it to the last track, Wine into Water, which is really great. I love that title. I love the spin. Tell me about this song.
Well, that's the most important song on the record. That's one that I knew 1,000% I wanted to do. I had a bad drinking problem for a long time, and we wrote Wine in the Water about that. And I was really ashamed to sing it for a long time because after I wrote it, I was still drinking some. I'd quit for a while and then fall off the wagon and get back on, ride a while and fall off. But finally, this last time, I was able to quit for good. When I think I finally got really ready to quit, and I asked God to help me, and after I asked for help, I never had a craving. I mean, I drank since I was probably 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And toward the end, I drank for 40 years, something like that. Maybe not quite that long, but. And toward the end, I got to where I was getting up in the morning pouring vodka in my coffee. I mean, I was really heavy into it. But Wine in the Water helped me.
Yeah.
And that song has helped more people. I have people that tell me their story after shows. They hit my Facebook page and tell me stories. Sheila, my wife, has been taking care of me since about 1978, and we're putting together a book through her help. If it weren't for her, I'd be dead. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. I'd be dead. But she stuck through all the hard times with me. We're happier now than we ever have been. We're having more fun now than we've ever had.
That's great.
Everything about our relationship is better.
Yeah.
But we're putting together a book, and all it is stories about how Wine in the Water has helped people. And I'm hoping we can get that done. I'm hoping sometime next year. And the only reason we're doing it is to try to help people get sober. Sheila and I have this little personal ministry of ours, and it's to help people get sober and stay sober. So we're hoping that the Wine in the Water book, we're not doing it for the money or anything.
Right.
We'll probably give the money away, but we just want to help people because I feel like I've been helped and blessed so much that I just want to help people get out of a dark hole that they're in. Drinking and drugs can be, if you let it get out of control, it is just a black place to be, and we just want to help as many people as we can.
Well, I think that's commendable, and you're right. There's so many people out there who have lost their families and jobs.
I wouldn't sing that song, and we were out at Loretta Lynn's, and Sheila got me to sing it, and Loretta Lynn put it in her shows, and then she cut it on her last album. She's really loved that song for a long time.
Yeah, that's incredible, and great addition, great way to round out your album. Everybody at home, the album is forever changed. I want to ask you.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to tell everybody Cracker Barrel has really helped us out, partnership with us on this album, so you can find it at Cracker Barrel. And also, I'd like to urge everybody to visit ICM.org, International Cooperating Ministries, if you'd like to see about our church building efforts. We've built over 6,000 so far, and the goal was 10,000 by 2020. So, and they've been built all over the world. It's a really cool organization, and when they take in $1, they spend $1 on the church building. It's not like some charities that maybe spend 50% of their donations on the actual cause. So, but ICM.org, I highly recommend it.
Right, you guys heard him, ICM.org.
Great bunch of folks.
Make sure you check it out, and you see how you too can help be a change in your community as well.
Could you help me turn the wine back into water?
Okay, now that we've gone track by track on this album, are there any moments where you can look back and say that was my favorite moment during this whole entire process of recording this album?
Wow, well, the whole thing was fun. I guess the best part was just seeing how God was kind of guiding everything. I hate to say any one moment was my favorite because there were so many. I mean, getting all my friends in to sing was awesome. Doing my vocals, I had a lot of fun doing them. The day we tracked, everything just went perfectly. It couldn't have gone better. And we were able to get all those tracks done in one day, and which was a miracle in itself, I think. And it saved us a whole lot of money. But we had great players on it too, some of the very best in Nashville, which is a great place. Nashville is a great place. I've had so much fun here. We moved here in 1980, and I've been from starting out singing demos to singing all the commercials that I've sung, writing songs, getting to make records, major labels, having hits, being able to have country music #1 Billboard hits. It's just been a wonderful thing. So I've led a charmed life as far as that goes, and I'm very, very thankful for everything. I'm not having hits now. I'm not chasing hits. I'm having more fun now than I've ever had, especially more fun than I did when I was out having to visit radio every day and suck up to people to please play my singles and all. I'm having way more fun now than I ever have.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on Track by Track.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. And thanks again to City Winery for letting us host this here.
City Winery is a great place. They have great shows. I recommend people coming to see a show here. It's
Absolutely. Awesome. You heard him. I can't do any better than that. Until next time, guys. See you soon.